Welcome back, y'all. It is Brian with the Coach's Corner podcast. I got Coach Mo here. On today's episode, we're going to take a deep dive into our basketball academy. We're going to tell you what it is, what it isn't, and talk about what's new for 2021. We got some shout outs from some sponsors that stepped up to help us out, and some shout outs from some kids that have accomplished some amazing things, that were, kids that were part of our academy and accomplished some amazing things. So it's Brian and Coach Mo. We'll get to y'all after the intro. Peace. Welcome back. It's Brian, and we're with Coach Mo. Coach Mo has decades of experience coaching basketball players of all stars and stripes, all shapes and forms, to success. He has multiple Division I athletes. Coach Mo is one of the only certified speed and agility coaches in the region, and has had success with athletes across all sports. We're talking about high school varsity athletes, Division I athletes, and athletes of aging, people that just want to get in enough shape to play with their grandkids without pain. And so it's something we're really proud of. But Coach Mo, today we're going to specifically talk about our basketball academy. And I know that we have some of our current basketball academy students that have gone on to that have done some pretty big things. And so give you opportunity to shout them out real quick.
Yeah, shout out to our kids that have made their middle school teams. And it's a commitment to academy that we appreciate, showing up and doing what you have to do. And those kids not only made their team, a lot of them are starting and they're going to be playing their first games today, some next week. But these kids are working hard. Also, we got some kids that are going to be trying out for their high school teams. A lot of them it is what it is. A lot of them know where they're going to be high school wise, but they're going to be ready for those tryouts. So big shout outs to those kids for being committed to the program, and your hard work is paying off.
All right. And I understand that we do have a couple of sponsors to shout out. Anding Family Dental. Let me make sure I got the name right. That's important, isn't it? $100 towards teeth whitening with a lifetime membership after completing a dental treatment. So let's make sure that, we give a shout out to Anding Family Dental. Make sure that you guys go check them out. They're a sponsor of our teams and our programs, and they are really giving the gift of basketball to our kids. So we want to make sure that we emphasize how appreciative we are. And for any businesses, past, present, that want to sponsor us or have sponsored us, give us a shout and let us know so that we can shout you out as well. We try to stay on top of it, but you know how things go with recording schedules. So, but we want to make sure that we give you that spotlight. Coach Mo, do you have any sponsors you want to shout out?
I want to shout out Miss Kamisha Reeves. Thank you for your, you came through clutch for us. And I know you constantly stay involved, and you watch our page, and you've sent some sponsorship money over, and we really appreciate it. And not only us, is that the kids really appreciate any sponsors that we have, because anybody that's putting kids first is getting them on the court to actually play a game they love. We definitely appreciate it. So you have a shirt coming your way. You got a couple shirts coming your way. We have some things coming your way for our sponsors, and like Brian said, we would love to have even more. We have plenty of kids that come to these academies, and anything that we can provide to make the experience better for them through sponsorships or donations, we really appreciate it.
All right. So we sponsors look us up, and we really appreciate us. It's not possible without y'all. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of pivot, give you a little bit of history about Basketball Academy, and then we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to dive into what's new for 2021. So this is going to be a little bit more informal. It's more or less me and Mo kind of conversing about back in the days. We're going to try to keep it short, though. So Basketball Academy. How did we come up with this? I think we were sitting at we used to, before the pandemic came down, we used to have our weekly business meeting over lunch. And so it was just an idea that we came up with. And we really, I think it was more or less talking about kids coming to us without fundamental understandings of basketball and parents not really being satisfied because of the fact that kids were, this kid can't dribble with his left hand, but he's struggling to get on the court for his junior varsity team. And so we wanted to build a place where kids can really build those entry level skills. Coach Mo, is that about right there?
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing as a coach for years, I think people get hung up in coming to practice. And it's just what you do. If you're playing a basketball team, you come to practice. Well, even if parents come to practice sometimes, there's a lot to critique with anything, and they feel, I think a general practice idea is that you go and learn plays, and the plays just translate to the game. Well, I think the concept we kind of thought of is like, well, that doesn't just happen sometimes, like, because you can learn all the plays in the world, but guess what? There's 5 other people in front of you stopping you from running that play. So how do you dribble around them? How do you pass around? How do you move the ball? How do you get back on defense? So I thought it was a big missing part. I'm a person that played college sports and a little bit beyond. And I went about it the hard way. I had a lot of natural street skill. Did not make a lot of teams. I just didn't have the basics down. Did not slow myself down. I did not, have the skill work down. I think we just thought of like, how many kids are like us, where we have, we're naturally both strong guys and we naturally play sports, but then it's like, hey, I need you to run a 5-out offense and then I need you to get back and play rimline defense. Well, what does that mean? Right. What does that mean? Oh, you don't know it? You're in 9th grade. I don't know it. Well, you won't make the team. And so you have a kid that's very talented that comes to us and they're used to that practice mentality. Well, practice that's great for that team, but I guess we're both pretty honest when we came up with the idea is that you may not be on that team. You'll probably play for 20 different teams in your life because you might play on an elementary team, your school team, an AAU team, a rec team, the YMCA. You might play any different things, and you have different plays you learn. You still gotta know how to dribble. Right. And you still gotta know how to shoot and rebound, get back on defense, and set screens. There's different things you gotta do. And I thought we would take care of at least introducing that to people to give them the option of how about you learn some of these basic things and it can apply to any team that you go to.
And I think the emphasis on basics is really what we wanted to work on. And I know the other side, the thing that makes the program unique is the fact that it's not just emphasis on basketball basics, but the emphasis on the basics of movement, running form, jumping form, making sure that foot placement is in the right place, making sure that kids are, have those skills drilled into their heads so that they don't have to think about what foot they're leading off with and things along those lines. So we really emphasize a lot of speed and agility focused movements in addition to the basketball stuff. And we combine it into a singular program. Now, first iteration of Basketball Academy, it ran pretty well. I think one of the things that we realized was we had tied the team aspect of it to the development aspect of it, and we were running into some very bizarre situations. And so we decided we still have teams available, but we're keeping those kind of separate from Basketball Academy. So you can be on one of our teams. You can be in Basketball Academy without exactly being on one of our teams. You can play on your own team. And all the practices are kind of a hybrid mix of our basketball practice, and you get a lot of academy stuff in there. We have multiple coaches to help facilitate that. So I think we have a pretty good mix right now. And so when you come in, and you'll see it when we go to break, because I'm gonna play the video, you're gonna get a glimpse of what it looks like, what Basketball Academy actually looks like. It's just a Monday night session. There were little kids there. You may or may not see them. I can't quite recall with this clip, but it's an all ages kind of event. But we really wanted to focus on the development piece and not emphasize the teams as much because we felt like there was almost too much focus on it. And and Coach Ma, I'll put this, and I want your take on this, but I'm gonna say it. I think one of the barriers that we ran into was this emphasis on winning at all costs, even at the cost of making players better. So you could have a team that's playing multiple levels up, which we always do with our basketball academy kids and affiliated teams. We always try to put them a level above where they're at so that they can adjust to playing at a higher skill level. You could actually go out and have a great game where kids are getting developed and learning necessary skills and still lose, and I think we were struggling with people that were used to traditional basketball programs where it's win, 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 win. It's not exactly about kids getting better. Did you see that, Coach Mo?
Yeah, and that's the adjustment. Because I mean, who doesn't like to win? If you've still success before, you want to win. I mean, we even got to look at high as the NBA level. I mean, you look at anything, kids like to win, but the winning at all costs, it's a big thing. It's like, because let's be real. You may not you may have the best fifth grade team in this league right now. What if two of your players leave?
Right.
And now you have to readjust. Is your kid or the kid on the team ready to step up and be leaders? Probably not. Probably not, because you're probably expecting that we're going to have this team for the next, I don't know until you graduate, but guess what? How many of us had friends that went to different high schools? A lot. You went to different high schools.
Let's even talk about like this. So you're talking about the best fifth grader. You have a fifth grade squad that's amazing, right? Mid-season, your best player, your best fifth grader, their dog dies in the middle of the season.
Yep.
Grandma passes, a friend moves away. They're struggling in school, and they're going through those early puberty kind of changes and things, and they end up not being the same player that they were for a couple of weeks. Those kind of adjustments happen when you're dealing with children.
Yep.
And the idea that win at all costs, having this super highly competitive drive when kids are still learning the fundamentals is, on one hand, yes, it teaches the ones that are going to play competitively, teaches them competitiveness at an early age, but it also gives them some pretty bad habits in terms of winning and losing and accepting wins and losses. So we're not saying that we don't want to win. What we're saying is we are not going to emphasize for the developmental teams, we're not going to emphasize winning over a player getting better. We're going to assume that the loss is going to teach them a lesson too.
And I mean, you hit it right on the head. I don't know what the future holds for some kids. I think we always talk about goal setting, which we'll talk about with the academy stuff, but we talk about goal setting. You might have a kid, and I've seen it happen. I mean, Ami started with kids in preschool and kindergarten, and some of those kids don't go on to play anymore, or they play another sport, or they're involved in DECA or something, but they're successful in what they do, and we prepare for that. Like, hey, while you're with us for this moment, we're all going to learn how to dribble the right way.
Right.
We're all going to learn how to play defense, and whatever happens after 8th grade, if you're still playing, if you want to keep playing, that's not on me. You might go to a different school, but we at least gave you the basics and the foundation to at least give you a shot to be successful. Not a guarantee, because I don't know what your school's looking for. I don't know what they have on the depth chart, but you will have a shot. You will have an idea of how to put the ball in the basket. You'll have an idea how to dribble with both hands. You'll have an idea how to rebound and keep the ball high and all the other little basic stuff. And then it's from there, it's your effort, it's your heart, it's your ability and what you do to perform and prepare yourself. Did you get enough sleep and those kind of things there? But what we will do, we will give you that. We will give you a foundation to get yourself prepared.
Well, and the thing I want to say is this, to kind of explain it to our parents that are already in our system. Our AAU program is run a little bit differently, because that is more intense. That's going to be a more intense focus. And I'll put it like this. So I lift weights. I've been out of it. I've had some medical stuff, so I haven't been in the gym, living in the gym like I had been. But when you're bringing on somebody that's what they call a novice lifter, especially if you're following starting strength protocol, you're bringing on a novice lifter, you're going to simplify the program as much as possible. You're going to, keep things simple, keep the intensity a little bit lower than you normally would, so that they can learn the movements and learn the mechanics and everything, so that they can lift the most weight as they move up through the program. We're keeping the intensity low. As you start progressing through the program and go from a novice lifter to what's called an intermediate lifter, you crank up that intensity. The expectation gets a little bit heavier. Now you're grinding through sets. You're changing up how your reps and all that other stuff, because you already have the form down. And so now the expectation is move as much weight as you possibly can through 3 sets of 5, or 5 sets of 5, or however you're programmed it out after you reach that intermediate level. So we're basically saying with the basketball academy, we are getting the kids the reps so they can get the repetition, so they can learn the basics. And then as they move through our system, if we have a kid that goes from academy and they look like a great prospect to be on the AAU traveling team, we're going to crank up that intensity. It's going to get more intense because, last summer we were playing teams that were nationally ranked and taking them to the wire. And that is a more intense kind of look. We're still focused on development, but it's a different kind of development we're focusing on. Now we're playing the mental game as opposed to the skill game. And so that's the difference. Basketball academy is not AAU level. And so I'll be honest with you, a lot of the crappy behaviors that we would see AAU parents engaging in, heckling kids from the stands, screaming at the kids, yelling at the refs, cussing out coaches, trying to fight other parents and all other stuff. We definitely don't do that for the kids that are learning the game, because that's counterproductive.
Right.
Coach, do you have anything to add on to that one?
Yeah, and that's if that it is. We want them. We're not. AAU's a different beast. In the summertime, a different beast. The practices are different. You're picking kids that are kind of dedicated to that summer, dedicated to that. There's an understanding in AAU where it's like, not every game is going to be a 20-point win for you. You may turn around and get blown out by 70 because that team just might bring, 10, 6'9" kids, out of blue that can absolutely play. And it happens. We can't, but then you turn around, you might knock that team off the next time you play. And you get the beast. During the season, just learn how to play basketball. Learn, box out, get a rebound, hustle down the court.
Right.
Like I said, learn. Brian got a good point. Learning the stuff on the sidelines. Like, I'm not in the game. I should probably pay attention to my position that's out there now.
Right.
Like, when somebody subs me in, I need to give the best minutes I can get. We also start talking about the realistic part of it. The older you get, you're not guaranteed to get on the floor as much as you think you might do if you didn't do the work. You didn't do the work. So we're preparing these kids for middle school, their tryouts, high school, their tryouts, and for our high school guys, preparing them for their college and where they want to get recruited at, that there's some realistic stuff there. The one thing that the kids will, some of them like it, some of them don't. I don't super prepare is we give feedback that's realistic. And you've done it. You came into the academies, and our feedback is not, and this is good for development in our academy. Feedback's not to hurt your feelings, but sometimes the feedback is like, hey man, watch your body language. Body language is so crucial for a person that's been, seeing kids get recruited, it's been in AAU, who has talked to recruiters. It's one of the number one things they look at. They're like, I come to the game, they're like, why is his shoulder slumping? Why are they pouty? We talk about that in the academy, and a lot of parents were like, well, this isn't a regular practice. Okay, so here's the deal about that. This is going to help them. The academy is an academy, and Brian's going to explain some stuff about it. but we understand what your original thought of a practice is. We're not calling this basketball practice. It's
Right.
basketball academy. We're preparing you all around to be a better overall athlete. That
Right.
means in the classroom, outside of the court or the field, in your home, in the community. There's things that you have to work on before somebody even considers putting you on a team. Or trust me, people talk. Brian, if you're a high school coach and I'm sending you a kid, I'm pretty sure one of your questions will be like, how's that kid's behaviors?
Mm-hmm.
He fights all the time and, doesn't really listen well. I don't want that kid.
Right.
And, like most people are like, okay, but we want to tell those kids, like, I just had a conversation with a coach, and within 10 seconds, he told me he doesn't want you if you have a bad attitude and you're kicking chairs and you're doing whatever. And as much as I care for the kids, we see the talent for some of these kids. Our academy there's a million things that separates our academy from just going to practice, but that's one of them. We're not just trying to push through a bunch of plays. We're like, hey, listen, we're gonna stop for a second because 3 people aren't paying attention.
Right.
Then their shoulders are slumped because they missed layups. So we need to fix that,
So I'll throw this in here, and then I got to throw it to a quick pause, quick break here. One of the things that we talked about is, and this is really specific, but it's something that Coach brought up. You're on the sidelines. By the time you're in 7th or 8th grade, we kind of expect that you're able to sit on the sidelines, be in the flow of the game, paying attention to what your position is doing on the court, and be able to figure out, okay, the person that you're defending or the person that you're on, be able to kind of assess weaknesses. This kid can't dribble to his left. We need you to be able to figure out how you're going to attack that and take advantage of that. You need to know who can and can't shoot. You got to be sitting on the sidelines watching the game and planning what the next couple of steps are so that when you get in the game, you're going to make maximum impact. And that's what matters once you go from junior high to high school. High school and AAU is separate beasts, and there's different mentalities for those. But junior high to high school, you got to have that ability to figure out, okay, how can I make the maximum impact with my minutes? I'm not getting all the minutes I want, but how do I make an impact in the time that I'm in the game? Right?
Correct. That's definitely correct.
So what we're going to do is I'm going to try to throw this to a break. We're still learning the platform, so we're going to try to throw it to a break, and then we'll be right back at you. We're going to show you a little bit of what our basketball academy, on Monday nights looks like, so stay tuned. And then we're going to come back and talk about what's a little bit different for 2021.
Basically had a full month whatever training. You have kind of a half a month for November. So she high school guys, okay? Middle school guys too. Trying out for teams as well. Who's the 6, 7, and 8 right now? You guys will be playing in a couple weeks, okay? You get to that game, you're gonna be playing, okay? And here's the deal. You are playing team ball. I get it. You're playing team ball, but you gotta contribute to what you're gonna do on the court, right? Okay? You can't be so hung up on wins and losses all the time if you're not contributing, So you can't sit there and be like, oh, we're not good. What did you do? Okay? You gotta have confidence in what you're doing. Do you understand? If you walk off of a court and you walk out of a game and say, I don't think I gave 100% effort, why are you playing the game? Right? There's a million other things you can be doing. Because you're wasting your teammates' time, right? Out of here. Here, ball. Go back to back. You're getting down. You're dribbling. You're trying to actually push each other out while controlling the ball. Okay? So, you're doing this too. There we go. No, you're getting down. You're dribbling. So you're going here. And at the same time, you need to have no control because that person can end up popping that ball out. Okay? So I'm you have days when you're cooking, everything's fine. You have days that you're not cooking. But I'm telling you, you guys gotta play defense. You gotta get back. You gotta hustle. Okay? You gotta take you guys. Okay? 1, 2, 3, hustle. 1, 2, 3, hustle.
Thanks for staying with us, y'all. We had some technical difficulties juggling the video. You know how things go. I mean, everybody that's been working during this pandemic knows that we have to rely on technology for a lot of things. So that being said, we're ready to jump back into our conversation regarding Basketball Academy and talk about what we're doing new for 2021. A couple months ago, Coach Mo and I sat down and we're like, all right, so let's talk about some points of emphasis for Basketball Academy this season. Let's really narrow down on the things that we want to teach kids and we want kids to really focus on to be a better player, because our entire motto is building a better player. So how do we do that? Came up with 12 principles, and the 12 principles they're going to evolve. But for this season, this is what we're really basing a lot of our work with Academy around. And so it's just, 12 principles. We're not going to spend forever defining each and every principle. We'll probably give about 1 or 2 minutes for each principle to kind of lay it out and explain what it means. But we do feel like it's important to explain our emphasis and explain how we envision Basketball Academy. So, Coach Mo, I'm going to start on the principles. These are the 12 principles to build a better player. And this is kind of our core values of Basketball Academy. And these are the things we're going to focus on this year. All right. We got 12 pillars of building a better player. Before I get too far into it, at the bottom of the screen, you're going to see the website for Coach Mo's Basketball Academy. That's where the Basketball Academy lives. If you're in the local area and you want to sign up, this is where you can sign up. I believe we're offering, for the next month or so, once we get everything, as we're getting everything underway for basketball season, getting to the swing, we're offering a discounted rate for people coming in. It's $129 a month at a discount. If you get in now, that's kind of the grandfathered rate. It's not going to stay there forever. And to be honest with you, we've had a lot of people come through, and so that rate isn't, it's getting to a point where we're going to have to go back to our regular rate. So, but right now it's $129 if you get in, and we'll say before, what date do we want to put on there? November 15th?
Sure.
Yeah.
Try out day for high school here. How about that? Yeah. It's easy to remember.
And we'll adjust it if we need to. We'll make an announcement, but that's the date to get in. Now, if we get more kids than we can serve, that we're gonna have to readjust. We're gonna have to readjust the price, but it is the price point is the price point for right now. So, 12 pillars of being a better player, and I don't think we need to share the screen. I will if it feels like it adds to it, but right now, the 12 pillars, number 1, first thing we want to focus on, and this isn't any specific order, but this is one of the things that we do feel like is one of the things we want to lead off with: the principles of playing good offense and good defense. That's number 1. Coach Mo, why do we focus on the principles of playing good offense and good defense?
Good defense, number 1, is foul out of the game. Foul out of the game. You're just out there playing. Playing basketball, and we know that football has just got over for some people, but you're not going out there and you're you think it's okay to tackle somebody,
right,
or to run into them. Like, play good, sound, disciplined defense. Move your feet,
right.
Move your feet. Watch your hips. Like, use your hand as kind of the mirror of the ball in a sense, but not to grab the opponent and throw them down. Offensively, you want to be good, sound offense. You're not throwing the ball over their heads. You're just not dribbling crazy. You're not trying to cross over 5 people. It all looks silly if you have no control of yourself, out there. And we're not talking about just kids that are beginning in their kindergarten. I'm talking about, I've seen silliness in high school, and these kids are sitting on the bench and they should actually be in a game, but they're just doing silly stuff. So just make sure that, they're disciplined with that.
So that's the first principle. The next principle, that one's pretty self-explanatory. I don't even have anything to add on to it.
Right.
This is number 2 is now we're talking about advanced offense and defense, the principles of advanced offense and defense. What's the difference between just good offensive defense and advanced offensive and
Well, with defensively advanced, this is where it's like, hey, you stand for your man. That's basic. Now it's like, okay, I got screened. How do I get over that screen and get back to the guy that's covering? Do I go over? Do I go over it? Do I go under? How do I get back on defense? Like if somebody gets a steal, should I take the ball? Should I run back to the rim? Where am I going to be on the floor when that happens? Offensively, the teams now they're trapping us. How do I stop 2 people from trapping me and I'm able to still move the ball without traveling, without moving my feet? How do I do that defensively? How do I trap back? How do I trap that person with the ball that's just fast and he's just been doing everything? How do I trap it? So now it's that next level of, okay, now I got little game time experience. Now I'm trying to win the game now and do it the right way. And now I'm seeing things that I'm doing and seeing things that I might not have seen before. And now my coach or my expectation is I should probably start knowing how to do these things when they come up.
Okay. So, and again, that one's pretty self-explanatory. I'm not going to add anything to it. The third pillar is game prep and situational awareness. Coach Mo, can you kind of explain why that's important and when we're talking about building better players?
Well, game prep, I mean, I guess it bothers me is I hear a ton of stuff. You probably have too, where it's like the kid's tired. They had a rough day at school or something like that too. Well, man, the game is at 3 p.m. on a Saturday. 3 p.m. on a Saturday, like you got to prep yourself. You got to go to sleep at night. Don't start your kid's day off with a bag of chocolate donuts and a full thing of milk, and then a bunch of eggs and somebody. I mean, they're gonna get sick. I've heard that excuse. Like that's not prepping. So we talk about prep yourself. Go to sleep. Wake up. Have your clothes picked out the night before. No matter what team you're playing for. Right. Prep yourself for these games. Prep yourself for practice, and also coming ready to learn. If it's a practice, if it's a training, you're ready to learn. You got Brian. This is your big thing. I know you can help me too. Is why are you coming to a practice and you don't have basketball shoes on or a basketball team? Right. Oh, I forgot. I got my hiking boots on. Again, it's a 7 o'clock at night practice. You went home and you had all day to have it. Have your tennis shoes in the car. That's not prepping. And now you come in distraction to not only to the other kids, to your team, and to yourself. And you're doing a week of not learning. So be prepped and ready to go with your clothes and mentally ready to go.
Well, and then it also goes into, because we talked about getting sleep at night and things like that. You are not Russell Westbrook. You are not LeBron James. You aren't, you can't, you're Carmelo Anthony, and these guys don't even do this. You're not going to sit up there and play video games all night when you have a 9 o'clock game in the morning. That just doesn't make any sense. And unfortunately, we've seen kids that come, older kids that come in with that kind of stuff. You're not going to eat crap all day and then expect to perform at a high level. You're not going to, you're going to sit around and drink guzzle soda all day, knowing that you got back-to-back games the next day and now you're cramping up. So that kind of stuff is, that kind of stuff we're trying to, and here's what I'm going to be honest with you, parents. We're trying to teach the kids ownership of their own behaviors. We're trying to get them to own their own preparedness so that you don't have to, so they can tell you, you know what, Mom, no, I do need to go to bed, or, probably shouldn't go out and load up on the Long John Silvers right before the game. And I have bubble guts in the middle of the game,
right.
Things along those lines. So we're getting the kids, I said Long John Silver's like that's places that people go. Long John Silver's, but that one just popped in my mind. But
you keep that place open.
Yeah, you guys are saying with this where we're putting some ownership on the kids. Like, you got, if parents get you there late, that's there's not a lot you can do. But if the reason why the parents get you there late is because they couldn't wake you up because you were up till 5 a.m. playing Call of Duty or playing 2K, that's on you. And we're trying to get the kids to take a little bit of ownership. I'm trying to hustle through, so we're going to jump to the next one here. Number 4 is reviewing your own game. We discussed this a little bit earlier. It is a skill, being able to have self-awareness of what your deficiencies are and being able to review your own tape. So, Coach Mo, can you give us a quick summary on that?
Oh boy, being honest with yourself, I do appreciate the parents that actually take games, but take the whole game. And so we talk about it. We talk about that it's cool to put their highlights, but it's also cool to have them look at it and evaluate it. And we do it with our academy teams. You're like, hey, good job on the win. Really good job. And we're not one of those Debbie Downer coaches where you're like, good job on the win, but you only got 8 points. And
right.
you traveled a whole bunch of time. No, we want you to review. I ask every time. You can ask anybody that plays for me or came through. I don't care if they don't play for me on a regular basis. Hey, how'd you do in your game this weekend? Well, yeah, let's talk about it. So you review yourself, and the reason why is we want you to improve each week. We want you to get better each week. I had a kid come to me, like, I'm in a shooting slump, and he's like, it's been a month, and I was like, well, what else did you do in the game? I got like 10 rebounds. That's pretty impressive. Right. Pretty impressive. And I got a couple steals. Pretty impressive. So did you look over at your game tape and what did you do wrong? Well, I was out of position. I wasn't balanced. But I'm like, oh, so you get a self-evaluation of yourself and notice and you figured it out. Because that's one of the biggest hurdles a lot of kids have that we've put into the academy is figure it out. I want you to find out. We can tell you all the time. Right. We can tell you, Brian can come to me and say, he can drive up in a black truck and, you're like, man, you see my new green truck? And I'd be like, nah, it's black. It's black. You're like, nah, it's green. It's you. But when you realize you look at it, oh, you know what? You're right. I'm thinking about my other one. That's when we would have the aha moment where it's like, you figured out, we put it in your head, but you're going to figure it out on your own.
Well, and I'll throw this in here. The idea, and we're letting a secret out. We've had conversations with friends that are all levels of basketball. I'm gonna put it in y'all ear, let y'all know right now. Parents, uncles, aunties, whoever is managing these kids' basketball careers, these coaches ain't falling for mixtapes no more. It's just they're not falling for the hype of the mixtape, because I do video. I know that you can cut. You can make a highlight reel out of almost anything, and so they're looking for more context, and that's something we're going to get into a little bit later on, providing more context. But they want to see a well-rounded player. They ain't falling for this mixtape stuff no more. And so, if you're going to be recording the kid's game, try to get the whole thing so that the kid can at least have game footage to review. All right, we'll take care of the rest. We'll take care of the rest of that, but. 5, and we're going to be brief here. Well, we're going to expand it. We could expand a little bit on this because this is one of the things that makes the program unique. 5, we're going to talk about footwork. Coach Mo, when we say footwork, what are we talking about?
Footwork. Okay, so I'm big on footwork. Me and shout out Coach Greg Hepburn. So me and him we worked to coach together for years, and we always talk about the footwork, and a lot of recruiters will look and they're like, man, that kid's lying on his feet. All that kid has a fast drop step. It's all, it's footwork. That goes for like football, basketball. You look, the receiver has a quick first step. That's how he got off the line, blah, blah. It's very important because the separation it helps, because not all kids are gifted to be fast. Right. And fast doesn't make you a better basketball player a lot of times. I mean, 9 times out of 10, it doesn't. Sometimes it makes you worse because you can't slow yourself down and you miss a lot of shots and you're in foul trouble. Your mind's going, your body's going same speed. You can't control yourself. The importance of footwork is knowing, we're teaching the kids, there's the out of bounds line right here.
Right.
You are standing out of bounds because your feet are all over the place. Oh, you shuffled, you traveled on that. What do you mean? You traveled. You absolutely took 3 steps. You didn't, So we go back to like the things that look good playing your friend, your neighbor who doesn't play basketball, and you're beating him in the backyard, doesn't fly in with a referee in an actual organized game because your feet are all over the place. You're traveling, you're sliding, you're not, you don't know where to be. You're standing in the lane way more than 3 seconds and you're confused because no coach has ever talked to you about that. They let you get away with it, or because you're the biggest kid, you're the tallest kid in 4th grade. Well, now that you're the middle, and you're not tall, or maybe you're the shortest player now in 9th grade. Do you know how to do anything else besides sit in the paint? Now, because now you're 5'3", and you were talking about, how do you get out of there? How do you drive the baseline? How do you scissor step and dribble the ball? How do you do those things? We work on a lot of those things to give yourself to add to your bag, as we say, and work on those, because if your feet are heavy and you can't move on defense, you can't get off the ground and rebound, and you can't get separation on offense, it's going to be a long career for you.
We get a lot of kids that are fast with slow first steps, and that just we talk about first steps. We've talked about explosiveness and being able to change directions. Being a fast kid with a slow first step is not a benefit, and so that's what the footwork piece is. All right, the next piece, dribbling, ball handling. That's number 6. So Coach Mo, give us a little bit of talk a little bit about the dribbling piece of it.
Well, you got to ball handling. We talk about it, and it's like it's something you have to do all the time, and we talk about that. But we're very realistic. People have to calm down. You have to calm down. These people want to jump trainers and jump things like that, and I want to do one-on-one dribbling. Honestly, and I know a lot of trainers are going to get upset. I don't care. I don't care. You might give a kid a video or some dribbling drills. If you're not there to monitor that like we do and kind of see how they're doing and progressing, they're not going to get better than just pounding the ball on the ground, and we want to make sure that not everybody's gifted to be a Kyrie Irving. That is, and as much as we think Kyrie, you have your personal feelings on whatever he does, he ain't lying to nobody. That boy's dribbling a basketball every single day. He was learning. He was out doing something every single day. That's why he's where he's at. And we tell people we're going to take these kids on where you're at. So you're coming in, you're dribbling a certain way, you're doing a certain way. Like, we are trying to show you that just because Johnny dribbles like this, you may not.
Right.
Because of, maybe you're not bending your knees. Maybe you're overthinking it. Maybe you've never been taught how to do a crossover properly. So we take you where you're at and then add stuff to your bag. If you can do a crossover this week, we make sure you got it and kind of go on from there. Because you cannot get around people and go from point A to point B up and down the court dribbling, it's going to do you a disservice. And coaches that put kids into a box and your parents that you follow that and say, hey, my kid's always been a center, and now he gets high school to be a center. Well, what if the recruiter says, hey, he's only 6'4", he's a guard. Right. I need to do. Oh no, I don't know. Well, you should have been working on that. And so my philosophy is, and we talked about it, is like every kid that comes to academy should learn how to dribble. I don't really, I don't know how tall you're gonna be. Right. I don't know what your coach's demand is. All I know is it'd be pretty sweet to be a 7'1" kid with pretty good handles. Right. It'd also be pretty sweet to be a 5'2" kid that can handle and finish at the rim too. So there's 2 parts of it.
Okay. So, and you mentioned that one that leads into the next pillar, which is finishing at the rim. Mm-hmm. Blown layups and missed tip-ins, blown layups, air balls, short jumpers that didn't find the bottom of the net. We've lost more games based on those things than anything else this AAU season. And so the emphasis and worldwide, I guarantee you, a lot of games have been decided by people blowing layups, adding a little bit more finesse when they should have just focused on putting the ball in the basket. And so we talk about finishing at the rim. Coach Mo, can you expand on that one a little bit?
Yeah, we actually do this every weekly, and we did this last night. I had some of my good, high school players that are playing JV varsity. Even them, I mean, they just couldn't understand sometimes on some of the drills. They're like, "Well, I do finish good." I said, "But do you finish well around the rim? Do you know, like, what do you mean?" I was like, "Do you finish good when it's wide open? You get a layup and it's a fast break. There's nobody in front of you, or can you finish when you have a guard backpedaling and it's for a clutch for the game? Can you hit a floater over top of them? Can you attack and get the and one? If you're down by 3, get the and one and finish the thing to overtime. Are you actually attacking with your chest to chest going up above them? And these are the things we talk about. There's a difference between just throwing the ball up at the rim,
right,
and actually shooting like you mean it to actually finish at the rim. Are you jumping at your highest point? Are you trying to score? And that's big. Are you actually trying to score when you do this? Or are you just throwing the ball up? And this goes from first grade, kindergarten, up into collegiate level. And we see it in the NBA. We've seen guys blow layups or get scared to finish because they got somebody in front of them.
right.
And they fade away or they'll throw a bad shot. I'm like, man, you make $50 million a year. You just faded away from another player going one-on-one because you don't know how to finish at the rim.
Right.
So we work on that stuff, and see a lot of that's kind of hard for some of the kids. But once you repeat it and keep going, they understand the importance of it.
All right. So we're at number 7. We're going to take a brief break, catch our breaths, pause for the cause, and then we'll be right back at you to finish this list out. Welcome back, y'all. So we are discussing our 12 pillars of building better players, and we're on number 8. And, again, this is Brian and Coach Mo with Coach Mo Athletics. We're talking about our basketball academy and talking about the 12 pillars we use to build better players. Last one we talked about was finishing at the rim, and now we're at number 8, which is moving without the ball. Let's discuss that one.
Well, moving on. This one bothers me probably the most, because kids are. Let's be honest. Kids are athletic. They probably are more athletic than we ever were because of the. The nutrition's different. They have access to the internet, and they are athletic, but they have to move properly without the ball. I was talking about running like a wild man. Just not knowing that there are spots. You don't have to be the baseline runner. You don't have to be the Reggie Miller where you're running sideline to sideline. That was his game. But you do got to have yourself some common sense. Spacing. We talk about that. How do you space? How do you move out the ball? Like, yeah, I know the 2 guard has it, and I'm the point, and I should have it on bringing the ball up. But that doesn't mean that. I couldn't just go get it, Do I give him space? Do I suck around and get those things there? Why am I standing around? And I tell them, like, if you're looking at coaching, and coaching from and recruiters, they're going to look at, I know this guy is dominant with having the ball in his hand, but what if there's a game where people are denying him, or it's a type of defense that does it, how do they do without it? How did they move without the ball? How do they go come get the ball? How do they move? And we want to teach them that not everybody's going to be just sit there and let you do what you have to do on the court. You may get jammed up a little bit, and how do you fix it?
There's a lot of NBA players that have built pretty good resumes off of scoring because they are constantly moving without the ball. They're constantly, if something isn't working, they're going to their next spot. They always know where their next spot is in the offense. And, if they're playing defense, they're always active, so that they can, get opportunistic and pick and play those passing lanes and things along those lines. And so moving without the ball, especially for kids, because it's real hard to kind of explain it, just because the ball isn't in your hands, you still need to be active and doing things. And I think that's part of the maturity, and that's one of the pieces where we really do focus on that, because that could be that thing that a coach says, I'm going to really give this kid a shot because he moves without the ball over this kid who just stands there like they got lead in their pockets.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're waiting on a pizza to be delivered or something. So
you don't become we talk about that. It's like you don't become a threat in a sense. It's like you said, you're just standing there, you said and we are very realistic of telling people, and I know these kids are like, what? And eventually they'll see it when they play. It's like people see that in the crowd.
Right.
I mean, your parents see that. The coaches see you're just standing there with your hand in your pocket, and you got the other players are just fending for their lives to get the ball up the court, and you're just standing there under the rim because you think that's where you're supposed to be at. Pretty cool when you're in kindergarten. Looks really silly when you're in 11th grade.
Well, and then part of that is that goes into staying within the game. If you're moving without the ball, you're staying in the flow of the game while you're in the game, and you're adding a benefit. You're benefiting everybody. But if you're just standing there, that's easy to get out of the game. That's easy to have a pass sail over your head or get hit in the face with the ball because you're not really in the flow of the game, and we've seen that plenty of times.
Right.
The last four that we're going to talk about, these are mental. And so the other ones are more physical. These are kind of the mental pieces of this entire thing. Number 9, testing your skill and leveling up in the off season.
That's huge. When I think we talk about that, we're saying you have a school season. Let's give, for example, you have high school. So you have the high school season. High school is a lot different from AAU, which a lot of you guys are finding out. You probably were a 30-point scorer in AAU, and you might be a 4-point scorer in school, but you may be a defender and those kind of things there. And so you learn a lot doing that. When you're off season, to level yourself up is like, if you didn't think you liked your numbers, how do I get better? We talk about extra training. We talk about focus on those things that you need to work at. We talk, we talk about challenging people that are going to actually push you. Again, right. Your neighbor that plays hockey is not a point guard. He doesn't play basketball. And yes, you're beating him. That is great. And he probably can tell you how to be tough, or whatever, but his skill set is hockey.
Right.
Your skill set is basketball. So now in the off season, I need to find somebody who's going to challenge me. I need to figure out how to do my left hand because I didn't do good with my left hand. I got to figure out how to get those 4-point scores total up to 10 now, and so that's very important. We talk about, and one thing, with Academy, we didn't mention people know it's year round. And that's what we talk about. We want these kids to come off of their school thing, come here like, coach, I did this, like you said, but man, there's 2 guards in front of me, and I need to get in front of them. I gotta level up. Okay, this is what we do.
And that's why we have a 3-on-3, and that's why we have 3-on-3 during the summer, and that's why we do open gyms year round, and that's why we also do AAU ball, because these are opportunities for players that are serious, that have made the commitment to wanting to be better basketball players. And that's the big thing. They made the mental commitment. Now they get a chance to test their skills out against players that are above them. And they're seeking out opportunities to get better and not just beat up on the kids that are the same level or lower. So that's important, because a lot of times, we find kids reach a certain threshold or a certain level and they just get comfortable punching down and beating up on the kids that aren't as good as they are, or beating their neighbor who doesn't play varsity ball, who has no intention of playing varsity ball, and they do it because it's fun to win. And they're not really pushing themselves. And then when they come in with the goons on during tryouts, the goons were out there working. They were out there grinding all summer, and so they come in at a higher level. They haven't been playing. They haven't been taking easy wins. They've been going out taking hard losses and learning how to get better. So we talk about that piece of it. Finishing strong and goal setting. This is something that we've discussed too. What does that mean when we talk about finishing out strong and setting some goals?
Well, you finish out. You finish out whatever season you're doing. Let it be your middle school. Let it be your recreational team, your high school team, your AAU team. You finish strong, and I mean to finish strong is you should not. If you're working and you're doing what you're supposed to do, you should look different at the end of the 4 or 5 months that you're playing. I'm not different. Like you should be fixing things that you couldn't do at first.
Right.
If you did not rebound 4 and 5 months ago, through all these pillars that we've taught you, you're getting a good academy, something's wrong. And that's got to be your effort because we're going to present that to you there. And your goal setting is like, okay, I got it. Or, they're like, I have to fix this because I do have one more year of high school. I got to fix this because I'm running into AAU. Like AAU this year, I think the first term is April 1st. That's so early. Like,
right.
And if you're playing for your school, you do a pretty deep state run, you might be playing in mid-March.
Mm-hmm.
You might be playing in mid-March, and April 1st is right around the corner. So my goal's got to be, I gotta fix this now. You know what I'm saying? I gotta fix this really quick. And so I want we really work on that and want kids to understand that there's going to be things that you have to fix immediately. And you should have been looking at that the last couple of months. And we do a constant reminder of this is how you improve.
Gotcha. So, all right. Now we're on to number 11, which is another one that's really developed. It's really about focused on the kid's behavior. It's developing on your own.
You got to develop on your own. And we look at it as at some point, I'm not on the court playing with you. Your dad's on the court playing with you. Your mom's on. Everybody's in the crowd yelling and screaming. And I always get on parents. You guys got to take a break. Chill out. Chill out. Your kid is on the court. This is them on the court. And at some point, they got to take the accountability of like, I need to get better, or the same person. And you cannot get mad at the coach at this point because, especially with us, they're like, we've talked about this. We've talked about hustle. We've talked about dribbling. We've talked about kind of things here. Are you going to now apply it?
Right.
Are you going to now actually go out and dribble X amount of minutes a day? Are you going to do it? Are you going to apply it? Are you going to fix your attitude and your body language? Are you going to do this now? You've had a whole, 10 other pillars to get to this point. And now it's accountability time, especially if you want to go play college ball. Especially if that's your dream, and you want to even play high school ball. Because guess what? No one owes you anything.
Right.
No one owes you anything. You have to beat that. You want to be the starting point guard, somebody's coming for your job, even during the season. You got to work on your own stuff too.
Well, and I'll say this: you shouldn't. Let's just keep it all the way. Coach shouldn't have to. There's no reason that you need coach to go out and tell you need to go shoot 100 free throws, or you need to develop your left hand.
Nope.
You need to learn how to dribble with your left hand. You don't need coach to do that stuff. Those are the things that, those are the little tiny things in your game, the little tiny holes in your game that are limiting you. And we're talking directly to the players. These are the tiny things in your game that are limiting you. And so we will teach you, hey, these are the things you need to work on your own. And coach is very good about sitting down with you and your parents saying, these are the things that I would encourage them to pursue on their own, which it can even lead up to getting better about scheduling their time to practice with basketball, or scheduling times to find places to run and find games to get into, but using that time on your own to develop. So pivoting into the last one, and this is the last one, but everything comes full circle. So new season mind state and prepping for tryouts. Let's talk about it.
This is a perfect time. And so that this time of year, this is where Pillar 12 kind of comes on, you know. Your mindset now has to, you have to grow up. And what we mean by grow up is you have to start being mature as a basketball player.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll explain that. You cannot sit and now the body language cannot be excused. It can't be excused that you're tired. It can't be excused that the reason that you weren't stretched out really well, you wore the wrong shoes. That doesn't work in middle school and high school because you get cut now.
Right.
And there's not one coach that I know of that's gonna buy that I didn't get enough sleep that night before. You know, okay, the kids are trying out. They did okay, you know, or hey, oh man, my hamstring's really tight. I got here late, so I didn't get a chance to stretch. Okay, but other kids got up and they got a chance to stretch, so they're prepared to be here. Oh, I forgot my activity card. I didn't get my physical in. I didn't do that. That is not going to happen, and you got it. And so we talk about that's not preparation for a tryout. You're not ready to try out, and you're going to get what you get. And Brian, you talk about this all the time. The result, you're going to get what you put in. And if you did not put in the work, and you're not ready and prepared to do this, you're staring there. And I've been there. You stare there, and you know there's other reasons. I probably make a couple of teams. You know, just some maturity things for myself at that age. And you look at that sheet, you're like, oh man, I'm not even on the list. Oh man, I got cut. Wow. And you're shocked. Well, why are you shocked? You were last in the running drills.
Right.
You came in late. You didn't know the plays, and they've been teaching the plays the last couple of months. You know, you can't do a push-up. You can't do it. You can't run around the track once. There are things that they're preparing you for, and you didn't do it. You didn't prepare yourself to get in and prepare yourself for these tryouts.
The kid in your position, you come in and your position is stocked. Like there's a lot of kids there. Those little tiny things of you coming in out of shape, not coming in mid-season form because you decided that you're going to lay around all summer and eat Doritos and just kind of chill and just have the summer of you. Now you're paying the consequences of that. You know, it's one of those things where, you know, it does come back to bite you. It does come back to haunt you. And I think if you're not one of those, and we talked about it a long time ago, if you're not one of those top 5 or 10% of kids whose spot on the roster is pretty much a guarantee, you have no, and even they don't have the room because you guys are coming for their spot. And they know it. That's why they're living in the gym all summer. That's why even if they play football, they still find a way to play pickup games. They stay in shape. They work on the things that they weren't good at so that they can come back ready to kill them next season. And if you think that you're good enough that you can lay on the couch all summer and not pick up a basketball and say 3 days before tryouts, I better get back in here. You're probably in for a rude awakening when that cut list comes out, because if you have to try out for your spot, you're probably not. If you do that and you still have to try out for your spot, you probably ain't gonna make the team. There are kids that really, the tryouts are just kind of academic at that. You know, there are kids that are in there. Coach Mo, you can tell because you've coached championship teams. You've been in the mix. There are kids where the tryout is just kind of an academic thing. Everybody knows they got it. They're going to be on there. They got the talent. They got the focus. They're playing. They come in at a higher level and they're ready to go. Most kids that we interact with, most kids that we work with that think they're on that level really ain't on that level. Because if you have any question in your mind, I need to try out, you ain't on. You ain't there yet, and you need to hustle and you need to grind and push to be the best. You need to be in season form by the time tryouts roll around.
Right.
And we've talked about that. We've offered services for that. Some people took advantage of it. A lot of people didn't, and now they're on the outside looking in. Waiting for next.
You can get back. I guess people. We are very. I mean, people that know us. I mean, that's you can look at the reviews and people that know us. I mean, we are very kid friendly, kid oriented. We want them to have success. We are also very, we're very honest, and we are not. There's a reason why I will brag on ourselves for a little bit because we should, right? We should be it's the reason why we're a 5-star business. It's the reason why we're A+ with Better Business Bureau. I mean, because we're honest, we give them a fair shot, and we don't guarantee, we don't guarantee spots on teams. I'm not coaching your team.
Right.
I'm not coaching your high school team, but I do, I do know if you come to 98% of what's offered, and you participate, like you said, you do so outside on your own, but we give you the tools, you'll have a better shot of making your team, and you make the team to be a part of that team. You're part of the team, but we're also very honest that there are some things like if habits you have picked up and coming to us at 12th grade, you may not be able to save yourself. You know what I mean? Save yourself because you have to be mature. The body language is crucial. You cannot flip out because you miss a shot. I'm sorry, you can't. No coach likes that. It looks silly. Right. It looks silly. No coach likes that. You blew 5 layups in tryouts wide open. That's on you. You should have been working on it. You already knew you struggled at that. Being mature, somebody hits the ground at practice, go help him up. Go help him up. Guy steals a ball from you, go steal it back. You ain't gonna go push him in the back. Just play basketball. Get better. No, guess what? Guess what? There's a lot of people that think Michael Jordan should go. There's also people that think LeBron. There's people that think Wilt. There's people that think Kareem. But you know what I just named? I named 4 guys that had great work ethic, crazy work ethic. We're like, you think Michael Jordan hit every shot? No. You think Kobe hit every shot? No. You think that carried the next game? No. They came out and kept shooting. They came out and did what they had to do. They had a different type of leadership. All of them were different types of leaders. All those guys I named were prepared to play the game. They accepted that, oh man, we saw it in the last dance. Michael Jordan got beat up by the distance. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to go lift some weights. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to take it in my own hand and do it. So at the highest level, these guys are going into their 40s, still showing up to the gym, still getting shots in,
right?
Still respecting their coach. Still the first one down and back running, still the one hitting free throws at the end, doing what they do at 40 years old, 40 years old and above. So if I'm 12, I have nothing to drop my shoulders for if I've never worked on it. If I keep blowing layups, but my coach tells me and we tell you you won't do it, why drop your shoulders? Why drop your shoulders? And that's not being prepared.
Well, and we talk about it too. One of the things that we discuss is the idea that kids are sitting there. We that academy footage we showed you. We talk about highlights don't mean nothing. We showed you some of the highlights from the academy, but there was a segment in there that didn't get added in there, and there are kids that got in trouble for standing on the sidelines, kikiing and playing around and tickling each other and stuff, and they got barked on because they're there. These kids are there because they said that they were making that commitment, and so they got in trouble because they're sitting around kikiing and goofing around when that's not the time. They need to be watching the drills and figuring out how they're going to get in there. And we will let you know. Your coach don't have time for that, especially if you're trying to make a roster. They ain't got time to sit there and babysit you while you're sitting there having tickle fights on the sidelines. They're just not. Now, if you want to go play the Y League, then they may do that. They may allow for that. But I guarantee you there are Y coaches that wouldn't put up with that kind of stuff. Don't think that you're going to come in here and do this kikiing and tickle fighting and all this other stuff on the sidelines and walk away without getting in trouble with the coach. And you got caught out front in front of everybody, and it was embarrassing, and the kids corrected themselves after that and participated well. But this goes into the mental preparedness and coming in ready, mid-season form, ready to play. Ready to perform, ready to execute. We're not saying you can't have fun, but it's a lot easier to have fun on the sidelines after you done got your 10 rebounds and got your 15 points and a couple of steals, and then you guys are up by a substantial amount, and the game's in the bag, now we can be a little bit more fun on the sidelines. You can be fun in practice if you're hitting all your shots and you're not distracting anybody else. But that's what we're talking about with coming in mentally ready to play. Summer's over. Get your mind right and act like you want to be here and act like the goal is to go out there and put your best effort forward every time you hit the floor. Doesn't mean you're going to hit every shot. No. But just because you're not hitting the shot doesn't mean that you can't get ready to rebound that ball and get back on defense. Right. So that's the mental stuff that we talk about in Basketball Academy. And people, I'm being honest with you, it's really easy to let go of the mental side of that side of it. But it's important for your players to develop. We're not saying that they can't be kids. We're not saying that they can't do kid things. But, you know, there's a level of, hey, the team is here. It's about business. Let's go handle business. We have fun after the business is handled. And we can have fun while the business is handled.
Right.
But you got to go out there and be executing and doing the business first. If you don't if you're not handling the business, there ain't nothing we can talk about.
And we do it from a perspective of not being arrogant. We do it from a perspective of we've learned the hard way. If you could go back and do different football, you would. I do stuff different with track, football, basketball. I would do different things. We learned the hard way. We learned all these things like, why did we make this so hard? Man, yeah. You know what? My coach was right. I was, you know, I could have gotten the gym a little bit more, you know, or I could have, free throws are important, you know. I mean, now 42, and I'm thinking that, and I could have just, if I'd have had some, my dad didn't play basketball. You know, he played basketball. I played football, so, and track. And so, and even then, he's like, you just run faster than somebody else.
Right.
Hey, like, what do I do with that? I mean, like, you know, as we're like breaking it down, we will not stand up here and we're very unique. We're not going to tell you, we're not going to make up stories about our NBA run as NBA players and your NFL run, because we didn't get to that level.
Right.
But we played at levels that some kids are struggling with. I'm talking about just even playing recreational ball. It's not even fun playing recreational ball if you can't dribble. You know, it's not fun if you can't rebound. It's not fun if you don't say, "Go, we want you to have fun." We get excited. Anybody ever seen me coach or train? I'm just excited for you as you are to get your first layup. You know, but I'm telling you, don't be satisfied with that. Our pillars, you go through them. We want you to come out better than you were, but there's still work to do. Like I said, if you have NBA players still getting up in the gym, NBA players with 4 rings, 3, 6, 8, 10 NBA titles, all defensive, all MVPs, they're still doing it. Why are you at 12? Think that you've made it. You know, you've made it. There's a reason why Omaha has got put back on the map for basketball, and we want it, you know, and we think we're part of that. I mean, we are. I try to be humble. Let's do it. We're part of that. There's a lot of trainers and coaches that are part of that as well. It's because we want, you know, we've challenged these kids to do better. We challenge kids to do it, and these kids that have gotten that level, your Hunters and Hunter Silas, your Chucky Hepburns, your St. Thomas, those guys there, they work. You know what I'm saying? They work. They've worked on not even knowing about these pillars like this. They've had people surrounding them, and they take the effort to be like, listen, I want to be the best at this position, and I want to go play in college ball. And I want to play at a high level of college ball, so I'm going to do what it takes. And that's what the pillar gives us. You know, I want you to, if your goal is just to be the best freshman basketball player you can be, and that's all you want to do, we want to put that in your, let's make that a goal. You got to tell us. If it's beyond that, then we got to go. If it's beyond that, there's a different commitment to college athletics and high school. The difference between that is huge. And we want to be able to do that for you and be honest around the way. Like, we care about you, but there's some honest, some things that you need to be doing as well.
Right. So I think that's where we're going to leave it, Coach. So you guys see it scrolling across the bottom. If you're interested in Basketball Academy, time is limited to get in. Well, not limited to get in, but we run a year-round program. But to get in at this lower rate, because you're getting a lot for what you're getting in, and we're gonna keep sweetening the pot as we're able to add more apparel and things along those lines. So get in now, because it's not going to be this easy to get in forever. Coach Mo, do you have any final thoughts on this?
Final thoughts. Final thoughts. I wish the best to every player in this country is trying out for their teams. Genuinely wish you the best. I hope I hope that you understand that the gift of sports and basketball at a young age to be so athletic and jumping and running is a gift, and there's an expiration date on that gift. That we all get older, we all get older, and our bodies start doing things that we can't do. And Brian, you're dealing with some health stuff, and I've dealt with health stuff. It's like it catches up. So while you have the ability to jump as high as you can, to run as fast as you can, to be, stretch and make sure, to avoid as many injuries as you can, you should give your 100% effort to every workout you do. Right. Let it be here in Omaha with us at the Basketball Academy. Let it be in Texas. Let it be whatever it is. You want to give 100% effort, and you walk off of these tryouts and these floor, and you say, "I gave it my all. I gave it my all." That's what we want. We want to kind of leave you guys with. We completely appreciate those who follow us. I look at my Instagram followers and those kind of things there, and I'm like, I appreciate all you guys. And I'm like, and I try to get some good stuff, and I'll do better in Twitter. I'm trying to get really familiar with that. Facebook, thank you. But the level that we're gonna take it this year is gonna be huge, and it starts with this podcast. It's gonna be huge. We want you to come. And shout out to Active 8. Active 8 has been great for our speed and agility clients. And Brian, I know you'll probably put something into the post there, but our speed and agility there and the kids that have came there look completely different. They look fast and good. Shout out to them. We want kids to come to that. We want kids to fill up our Basketball Academy. We want kids to come and do these services because we truly believe, Coach Randall, Coach Joel, myself, Coach Jordan, Brian, you came out and did, we truly believe we have not one of the best, we have the best all-around product to help kids get better. Not saying other people don't. We just know what we put into it. And I actually want that for our kids. Also, shout out for any coach and any trainer that are preparing these kids for these things. I shout you out because you're doing a job, and I know it's hard. I know you hear the parents complain after losses. I know you hear the parents complain, "Oh, that practice might have ran over, coach," and you might want to walk away from this game. I thought the same thing at 21, and now I'm 42, and I'm still here. And it's tough, but you guys being here, we appreciate the Gregs, we appreciate the Coach Q's, the Chris Bennett's, Dave Juarez. We appreciate you coaches to do that, and we can do this together and help all these kids get better. It's not about a competition between all of us and who's better than who. These kids' careers are on the line. These kids' careers on the line, and it starts at first grade, and the end point maybe 9th for some,
right?
Maybe 12th for some, might be 5th for some. But let's give them the maximum quality that we can. And I know you come to us. We will definitely, we'll definitely push in the right direction. But the 12 pillars that we have is going to make a difference, and we're going to turn up this year.
All right. So as you guys can see, I changed up the scroll across the bottom of the screen that's for the speed and agility training at Active 8. Come check it out. It's $99 a month. What do they get for that $99 a month, Coach Mo?
Yeah, they even come out twice. We actually added a third day. Come out to Active 8. We try to do the time. We know they got basketball games for that too. You're getting footwork. We're working on a little bit of strength training, stretching, kind of healing the body, and speed, agility, jumping. These kids are jumping at the gym. If you go to this, you look on Instagram, you look on the site, you'll see our kids are jumping, they're using bands, they're getting very good at those bands.
Right.
I'm known for that. And they keep coming back. They keep wanting more. We got kids that are 5'6", 5'7", jumping up, grabbing the rim. Video proof of them jumping the rim. We got young kids that are in 6th grade that are coming out there jumping up on jump boxes at the high school ass, and they're doing it the proper way, Brian, the proper way. They're not just recklessly getting a YouTube video and trying to jump over a car,
Right.
while it's moving. That is reckless, too.
So
A certified speed agility coach getting that work in.
For young athletes, old athletes, Coach Mo's a certified speed and agility trainer. He's also a certified band instructor. He can put together a workout that matches what your goals are. Like I said, we don't like to be this general, but I will say it. We've worked with kids that are just getting started in sports, all the way up to people that are running marathons, all the way up to seniors that are just trying to find a way to get more comfortable and play with their kids. So this is a fantastic training program that Activate's really partnered with us to bring forth to the world. So you're missing out on opportunity if you don't take advantage of it. And we're constantly looking at adding days and more programming as the need fits. So we may have an elders class. We may have a class that's just for people that are doing mud runs. So the opportunities are limitless. Get involved. Now's a great time. You can contact Coach Mo through the website. The email is coachmoathletics@gmail.com. We have more professional emails, but the gmail.com is the one that gets them. The gmail.com is the one that we steer a lot of our traffic to, because it's our oldest email address. So come check us out. Speed and agility training for all sports, basketball training with the speed and agility focus. That's what we do at Coach Mo Athletics. That's how we build better athletes. So again, thanks for tuning in. This is Brian and Coach Mo. We'll talk to y'all later.
Peace.
Signing out. Peace.
Right.